G'day people, and welcome to another Phil and Jen in the Philippines. I'm Phil, and this video, what I'm going to do is I did a review of the 13 or so videos I posted up until this particular time, and I've come to the conclusion that if I analyse those particular videos in my attempt to pre-warn and educate possible expats or prospective expats coming to this country, it can be construed as being very negative, trying to warn them about the pitfalls of moving to Asia. So what I'm going to attempt to do, and this will probably be a short video, who knows by the time I stop raving on, I'm going to point out that it's not negative here, and all the points I think are important that make it positive for coming to the Philippines or coming to an Asian country, and the good things that I found in the Philippines and the reason I'm here. Now the other thing is too, I thought I'd tell you, you've seen me in different videos with glasses, without glasses, with sunglasses on, or what appear to be sunglasses. They're prescription glasses. They happen to be tinted. What I was trying to do is make my head as attractive to the viewing audience as possible, but you know, like it's hard to polish a turd. So I've found that when I'm filming outdoors, the most comfortable way for me to obviously do these videos is to wear these particular glasses. I will change the glasses when I go back to Australia and get a new prescription. Of course you can get prescriptions here, but the quality that I find at home is probably better. So at this stage of the game, I'll probably appear on the videos with glasses on. Right now, as I said, it can be construed as negative. I've told you all about the security situations and about ABSIF and about cons online or this type of thing in an attempt to warn everybody and to avoid those particular pitfalls. But the reality of this situation is, if you add them all up from an external point of view, one could say is, well, it's all those things, even down to the noise. You know, everyone tries to mask the noise, and for filming purposes, it's probably a pain, but all I can say is this is Asia. It's a noisy place, and best you get used to it. So what I'll attempt to do now is explain to you all the things that is just so uniquely Filipino that I've found, things that give me great joy, and all the positive things I can think of on the spur of the moment that make the Philippines, my new home, my home. Now the second thing, before I go on, apart from the normal everyday thing, push the buttons and subscribe. I've been absolutely inundated with subscriptions, which really baffles me. I'm so appreciative of that. Ring the bell, the little bell icon for notifications, and comment. I'm getting so much feedback as far as the comments are concerned. This is what's really guiding me, and I don't want to be like every other blogger and go over everything. And to a certain degree, up until this video, the 14th or so video, I've been like every other vlogger. I've touched on subjects which you probably all know about, and which comes a little bit monotonous. Just to recap those 14 videos, these are the nice things I've found. The Filipinos, even with all their drawbacks, even with all their habits and their faux pas and all this, even with the poverty over here, they are probably some of the happiest people within themselves I've ever come across in the world. They laugh, they joke, almost to the point of being childlike, but in the innocence of humour and what they think is important and how they celebrate things. And from a Western perspective, I often look at it and think, well, what have you got to celebrate? Why would you do these things? You know, your lives to a certain degree are shit. Why are you doing this? Well, that was because I was looking at it from a Western perspective. But they are some of the most fabulously well-humoured people or good-humoured people that I've ever come across. The other thing I love about here is, even though Westerners are a bit of a curiosity throughout the country, they do appreciate the fact that we bring a great deal of money into the country. That's the first thing. And you could say that was selfish of them to a certain degree, because we obviously pass it on to them in one way or another, whether it's being borrowed or stolen. But they recognise the fact that we are a source of funds. The other thing they recognise is the pride they have that Westerners have chosen, you know, educated people who come from a first world country have chosen the Philippines to stay, and they take a great deal of pride in that. And of course they're influenced by outside Western influences on the television, on the internet and whatever, on our standards of beauty. So yeah, the reception is totally positive. The other thing that gets me is that if ever I'm in trouble, now I don't mean to say bad trouble, let's say as an example, I'd have a flat tyre, depending on where the flat tyre appears. Obviously I'm changing the wheel on the car, and it's not unusual to have a small crowd gather around and watch me do it. And then if, say for instance, they think I'm doing it wrong, it's not too long before someone interjects and assists me changing the wheel, changing the tyre, or giving me advice as to how to do it. And God forbid if I was missing, say for instance, a jack when I went to change that tyre, all I've got to do is turn to any stranger here and ask them, explain, I've got a flat tyre, you know, I need a jack, does anyone have a jack? He may not have a jack, and he'll turn around, he'll speak to somebody else, and then all of a sudden someone will disappear, and within 5 minutes a jack will appear. Now, they don't expect any payment, but they're happy to help. This country also never ceases to amaze me that I can talk, and I've taken direction from my wife, because I was very hesitant. Australians, even though we're friendly, we're a little bit conscious of our space. As I mentioned before in a few videos, it's not unusual for Australians to live in a house and not for years and years and years and not really know their next door neighbours. But over here, I can be sitting on a bus, or I can be in a supermarket, or I can just start up a conversation, or someone will start a conversation with me. No self-conscious aspect to that starting of that conversation, or just passing the time. The fellows love to talk, and of course the usual thing is where are you from, how long have you been here, do you like the Philippines, and whatever. But it goes beyond that. If I require any assistance, or if I need a label read to me or whatever, I can ask anybody here, and the majority of time people will stop what they're doing and assist me. Total strangers. You know, I spoke about the security guards in the last video. Here they are, armed to the teeth, and yet they are very approachable. You know, and they always here greet you with a smile. It's almost as if you've known them a lot longer than the last 60 seconds, and they will be very inviting. It's not unusual to go somewhere and they invite you for a drink or for something to eat, and they don't know you. They're a very open people. What I've come to realise, when we're trying to pre-arm people before they come over here by giving them information, and as I looked at those videos, everything that is on my videos and other videos is always looked at from a Western perspective. And when you accumulate them up, because I know how I got into this vlogging, I was over here, I had no intentions of vlogging at all, but I took a certain amount of comfort in the entertainment of other vloggers. Now, they spoke English, and they related to things that occurred to me, And it was good to get the reinforcement that I wasn't the only idiot in this country that made monumental mistakes, and the things I observed, other people observed. And this was one of the reasons when I was requested to do vlogs, I decided to do them. But I fell into the same trap. What I looked at was everything from a Western perspective. And then I realised that everything I brought up as an educational purpose really is an excuse for people back there to pile up the reasons as to why they shouldn't come. Oh, it's all too difficult, the housing's bad, the prospect of being conned is bad. Even though I'm giving this information trying to avoid that type of thing, what I'm actually doing is piling reasons up why people don't come here, or at least convince themselves not to try it. When the reality of the situation is, if you really wanted to, say for instance, go from one country to the next and bring America or bring Australia or bring New Zealand with you, or attempt to do so, you know, I suppose, why leave your country in the first place? And then I analysed why really I'm here. You know, it's difficult being here. It's annoying at times, all those things. But I came to realise the sense of overcoming these problems gives me a great sense of pride. And I'm obstinate and I'm stubborn, and I'm not going to let this country or certain people defeat me. So it becomes a situation where it's a challenge, and therefore I'm not going to race back home with my tail between my legs and admit defeat. I've never done that in any part of my life. It doesn't matter how badly my life has become. You know, what I've done is I've stuck with it, a lot of times to my detriment. But when it does succeed, it gives me this sense of purpose. It gives me this sense of overcoming something. It gives me this sense of conquest. And at our age, to keep vital, to keep relevant, to keep going, to protect one's sense as a man, you know, you need these things, and this country offers it. And thankfully this country, unlike a lot of countries throughout the world, make it relatively easy for me to participate in this situation, to test my skills, to test my patience, by allowing me to stay here for periods of up to 3 years if I was on a tourist visa, but also allow me as the husband of a Filipina to stay very, very easily in this country. The other thing that's wonderful about this country, as opposed to, and I'm not knocking anyone's country, I'm not knocking my own, I'm not knocking America, I'm not knocking Canada, but I ask myself too, you know, why do I put up with this? It's less complicated here on a basic level. The only things I've got to worry about here is paying the rent, is the electricity, the water, and food. You know, all the rest of the things I can weigh up as to their level of importance directly to me. You know, I can take the risk as to whether or not I want to cover myself with medical insurance, with motor vehicle repair. And I can make allowances within myself without having to rely on companies that I have to pay for insurances and the fear factor. You know, I can do things like I can experiment with my life. I can start businesses, technically through my wife because she's the national here, but I can do all these things. No one is there pointing the finger and saying you're doing it right or wrong. You have to learn these things. So it's learning new skills, new tolerances. It's adventurous. You know, the noise that we speak of, you know, yes, in the West, it's annoying. It's Asia. It's the same in most Asian developing or third world countries. It's noisy. You know, it's no use complaining about it. You're not going to change it. But after a while, if you accept it and take it on board, it's a day-to-day realization there is a life going on here. People are hustling and bustling, surviving, laughing, loving, and it's all out there. It's all in your face. One could say, oh, the diet here isn't as good as Thailand. It isn't as good as other parts. All those things, I agree. But it's not a competition. You know, for my viewers in Thailand, I love Thailand. Absolutely love it. You know, it's got fabulous facilities, got all those things. It's got a totally different Asian experience than here. It's more advanced. All of those things. So they're all brownie points. If that makes you feel better, I agree with you. You know, and the reasons you stay there are probably for those reasons. The reason I stay here is because I've got a fellow wife. It's easy for me to stay here. I look at life these days, I pick out the best, and I have in the back of my head, you know, all the things that can go wrong. I'm forearmed, know what to avoid, and it's only been through experience. So the other thing I like here is to a certain degree, the underdevelopment of the country, because the possibilities are huge. And it's easy to say, oh, if they only did this and if they only did that. Well, they don't do those things, so you've got to either slowly introduce new things to them until they become comfortable in their time, not in ours. And you've got to lead by example, and you've got to put up with the situation, whereas you've got to have some failures before you understand these things. So be it, have your failures. And speaking of failures, to all those guys out there, rather than have me just ramble through different subjects. When I came to this country, and over the period of 4 or 5 years, I started 3 separate businesses. 3 separate businesses that would have succeeded to varying levels of success in my own country, probably other Asian countries. But they didn't, either they totally failed or they were mediocre businesses here. Now, I know a lot of guys have asked in the comments what those businesses were, so what I've decided to do is, of those 3 failed, for want of a better word, businesses, I'm going to go through a vlog per business and intimately tell you what happened with those businesses, and you can take out of it what you will. And as an example of failure, my failure, I'm trying to educate you as to what you look out for if you have some idea in mind to come to this country or to come to Asian countries, and things you should look at. And of the 3 examples of business, I'm sure I'll cover at least one of the things that pertain to your idea. So if you'd like to see those, hit me up in the comments. Unless I get comments that you do want to see them, it's a waste of time, effort, energy to do them. So you may not wish to see them. They are, I think, interesting for anyone over here. And the mere fact that I'm still here after these failed businesses and the frustration that took place and how they took place, it still baffles me today. But I'm so glad I went through that evolution of failure to get where I am now, because at the other end of that evolution of failure, I think I've become a far better person, a far more tolerant person, and this type of thing. Getting back to some of the great things here, we all talk about karaoke, but I'm a bit of a music lover. I can't play an instrument, I can't sing that well, I can't hum, but I enjoy music very much, and it was one of the things that my wife and I had in common when we first met, was music, because obviously the fellows love music. And even though the proliferation of karaoke here, and they still dispute the fact that karaoke was actually invented in this country, in the Philippines, and they take great pride in that. The reality, I don't know. But anyway, this country, apart from the millions and millions of bad singers, has developed some of the greatest talent I've ever heard. Unsung talent, to coin a phrase. Some of the ones I'm going to suggest to you have a look at, and I'll probably put photographs of these people in the corner. I can only suggest you check them out if you like music. Fabulous. fabulous singers and entertainers. A lot of people aren't aware. I certainly wasn't aware of the talent that was over here, and the stuff is readily available on YouTube. So look them up, support them. They should be recognised worldwide. Some are now developing worldwide, but you know, promote them. They are fabulous. Having said that, they do love a ballad here, so and they are relatively conservative as far as the spectrum of music goes, but technically fabulous singers. As I said, I'm just flicking through them at the top. You'll see photos and whatever. Pause the video to check them out, then have a look at YouTube. So the talent here is untapped. The smiles are untapped. The openness is untapped. These are all fabulous things. The food is Filipino food. It's comfort food. It's not Thai food. It's not anything like anywhere else in Asia that I've been anyway. It's fried. One could, if you pick it apart as far as from the health aspects are concerned, oh my God, don't even go there. A lot of it tastes fantastic. Some of it to the Western palate, because they're big offal eaters here. One thing about a Filipino, if it's crawled at one stage of the game on this planet, they've probably eaten it. They will eat anything, and they eat it all. Nothing goes to waste here, and it's a fabulous thing to see. And God help the amount of chickens that are killed in this country. So that's all wonderful. Talking about food, if anyone ever gets the opportunity to have a go, and I know a lot of you brave people that have come here from time to time have eaten balot. Now I've tried most things over here, but balot I will not, I just can't do it. Now for those of you who don't know what balot is, it's a duck in an egg that is a let matured as a duckling to a certain, say 24 or 26 days or whatever, and before it hatches they boil it. And of course you come along and buy this egg, you knock the top off, and there is this small duckling staring at you in the face, lying there dead as a doornail, you know, in a certain amount of juice, and they hoe into it. They love it. And I don't know how many times I have been requested to try balot, and I just can't. And I've got a good stomach. It's just there's something unnatural to me to have a duck staring at me with little feathers all over it, and I'm expected to bite its head off. You know, Ozzy Osbourne, I am not. So that's one thing I have not, and I'll have to get good and pissed before I ever try it. And considering I don't drink, or I drink very minimally, I don't think it's ever going to happen. But for those adventurous ones out there, if you ever come to the Philippines, give it a crack. It's as far as I'm concerned, it'll be a badge of honour. If you come back to me and say, yeah, I tried balot and I like it, or I dislike it, and whatever, the mere fact you've tried it, I think is fantastic. But there are very nice foods here. As I said, don't look at the calorie count, don't look at the fat content, just enjoy the food. There's some that I don't eat, but that's part and parcel of going to a different country and trying the cuisine. Other things I like about this country is someone that you know will be invited to a party, unless you are the host, of course. And it's nothing for them to say, come on, we'll go and do this where my auntie or my uncle or my nephew or whatever is having a party. It might even be a wedding, come along. A wedding, say for instance, we would say, oh no, I can't come, I've got to get dressed up and I've got to race out and buy a present. Forget the presents, no one gives presents here. Or very few people do anyway. But they'll drag you along, and like you are expected to eat. Don't be a shrinking violet when you come here. If the food's offered, get in there, give it a crack. They take great pride in the fact that you're eating amongst them, or having a drink amongst them. Get involved, talk, laugh, even if you haven't got a clue what's going on. Take the cues from everyone else. If everyone laughs, you have a laugh, And before too long, you'll realise you're having a great time here. But the simplicity of life over here, the common values, the love of children, are all things that you have to admire. These people haven't got a penny to piss in. They've come to the conclusion that tomorrow may never come. So live for today. And it's something as reckless as we may think it is. There's a certain leaf we should take out of their books, especially guys and ladies of our age. Don't think about it, do it. There's no greater time than the present. Or at least put things in motion. Hope for the best. In the cases of the Philippines, they pray for the best. And I don't know how beneficial praying is. I'm an atheist, so, they'll often say, I'll pray for you, I'll do this. And for a long time, used to grate on my nerves that they'd say, I'll pray for you. Because I used to think what a useless pastime praying was, because it wasn't productive. Well, it gives them great solace to have someone out there in the big unknown, or the belief that someone's watching over them. And that's why Catholicism has taken hold here. There are people with all their failings that desperately want to get out of the situation. Okay, they want a hand, and they're not self-conscious enough to a certain degree not to ask for it. On the whole, they're good-hearted people. They look after their families, they look after themselves, they try their very best, make allowances for it. They will certainly, the majority of people here, will help you rather than hinder you. And it's unfortunate that in all situations we grade where we are by a minority of people that are doing the wrong thing, because the vast majority of people, even in our own countries, try to do the right thing. So anyway, I don't know if that's of any benefit. The people are wonderful. Living here is very, very easy. The complications of the West are way out the window. Everything is so basic and manageable here, as long as you've got a bit of get up and go. If you are sitting in your lounge rooms and you're looking for a place that has all the best things about America or Canada or Germany and whatever in an exotic location, a country like the Philippines isn't for you. But if you want a reason to get up in the morning, you know, if you want constant challenges, if you want the added benefit of attractive ladies that will talk to older guys, you know, give it a go, and give it a go sooner rather than later. Don't be woulda, shoulda, gonna, you know, all that type of thing. Be a doer, and do not procrastinate. You know, life is too short, my friends. Again, that's about it. That's the thoughts off the top of my head. The video mainly, I suppose, was to ask you out there whether or not I should do the videos on the three businesses, knowing full well that from a Western perspective, they were failures, but each are individual, separate businesses, and each failed or succeeded moderately through different reasons, and I hope you could pull them out. I think it'll be interesting. It'll be the first time I actually go into the nuts and bolts and how it was constructed, the money spent, the money lost, why it was lost, and the aftermath of those businesses, and probably will give you a reason as to why I'm either still here and not at home, or have changed the way I look at life. Okay guys, hopefully it's not too long. Hopefully I haven't bored you to death. Thank you so much for your support. Comment, subscribe. See you in the next video. It's Phil from Phil and Jen in the Philippines. Keep on trucking. See you next time.